So as a reviewer, I always get this kind of question, like, what is the best entry-level EM? Which one should I buy? Is there any single entry-level EM that is actually worth it, or should I go to the mid-range instead? Until now, this question was quite hard to answer. So today we have the FiiO FH11. So this is an entry-level EM priced at 54 or 55 US dollars, which in today's money is about as much as your typical groceries for about 3 days. So pretty affordable by most standards for an audiophile or for a music lover. This is a pair of in-ear monitors, one dynamic driver, one balanced armatures. And it looks kinda like this. It has a pretty fragile, pretty thin looking cable, but the EM shells are quite good. So those are EM shells that are made of a metallic alloy with zinc. They have a very rounded shell and they have two openings for the driver ventilation. So they do have a dynamic driver, but they are not prone to void or to driver flex because they are vented. The shell also has the shape designed acoustically so that the inner chambers of the shell actually reflect the sound in such a way that it makes the most sense. Now, one surprising thing is that the balanced armature is actually placed inside of the sonic bore. That means that the whole acoustic design is basically mostly for the dynamic driver, so for the bass, while you will hear most of the output of the balanced armature directly because it is in the bore, it is very close to your eardrum, so you hear everything right away. That is not a problem. This is an EM basically tuned for HCG, or anime, comics, and games. This is a style of music that typically includes soundtracks. It includes music like anime music, which typically is like anime soundtracks, anime songs, J-rock and J-pop in general. This is what ACZ typically implies. So the tuning of the FH11 is generally pretty neutral-ish. It has a bit of extra warmth in the bass, a bit of extra sparkle in the treble, but the voices are kept quite forward and they have a very good separation and very good definition and clarity. The whole point of this video is for me to explain to you if it is worth the 54 US dollars the company asks for it, or if you can simply purchase something better and be done with it. And the answer to that is that it really depends. The main problem here is that not everyone has the money to invest in a mid-range EM or even a flagship. So for some people, they really have to stay within a tight budget because not everyone has the same job opportunities and not everyone can spend on this hobby, even by family restrictions. For example, if maybe someone isn't agreeing with your hobby. Something like the FH11 was not possible a few years ago. This one is an EM that actually sounds pretty similar to what you would get in the mid-range about 10 years ago. So if you were born 10 years in the past, something like Sennheiser EA8 would have a similar degree of resolution, clarity, and just general detail to the FH11, which is quite crazy if you ask me, because I paid 300 US dollars on a pair of EA8. I still have them and they're still quite excellent. But the FH11 actually sounds so incredibly good. It doesn't climb quite as low in the sub bass, so the sub bass tends to roll off from about 40 Hz. You don't get a lot of sub low end, but you do get a very punchy and very clean and well-defined mid-range. Control is the best word to describe it. It is very controlled, clean, and the bass has a lot of nuance, which is also very pleasing. The mid-range is full, it is poppy, it pops out, it has a very good resolution, it is vivid, it is vibrant, and it has a very pleasing presentation. The treble is not necessarily the brightest out there, so it has a slightly smooth presentation. It tends to roll off from about 11 to 13 kilohertz, so it is quite hard to pinpoint in the treble where exactly the roll-off starts, but it tends to be a gentle roll-off. So you get a decreased amount of treble, which tends to give you less sparkle, less harshness, and less fatigue, and that is quite important. I was just reviewing the Blonde Jojo, which is a direct competitor in the same price range, but Blonde Jojo is much brighter. It has such a strong treble that Blonde Jojo can be quite fatiguing compared to the FH11. So FH11 is quite good. How good is it? I would say that if you purchase this, you will be less inclined to upgrade to a 100 US dollars EM. So the upgrade will be much less noticeable than if you upgraded to a much pricier EM. For example, between the 300 and the 500 US dollars range, or even in the 1000 US dollars range, you will get a much higher increase in quality, while upgrading from FiiO FH11, which is 50 US dollars, to a 100 US dollars, it's going to sound quite similar. You aren't going to get a huge boost in detail, in resolution, or in clarity. There is a big but here. You need to have a good source for it. FiiO FH11 is very easy to drive. It has a very low impedance, which can translate in being quite picky with the source. To give you a bit more context, this is the FiiO Q15. There was a Q5S, the last one that I know of, and this is the Q15. Very nice design, very brutalist. I love it. I love this industrial brutalist design. The point is, you need a good source. If you purchase the FH11 and if you drive it from a dongle DAC that doesn't pair well with an EM with a low impedance, you are not going to get a very good experience. The problem here is that most entry-level dongle DACs have a high output impedance, which in turn makes the FiiO FH11 sound brighter, which is not a very bass EM to begin with, and this is one of the EMs in the entry level that has the highest clarity, so you end up with a little problem. The problem is that for the FH11 you need a good dongle DAC. To get a good dongle DAC you need to spend money, and then you just aren't saving so much money by purchasing an entry-level EM. But I think that for someone who doesn't have anything and who hasn't had any kind of contact with audiophile EMs, or at this price point, we could call it high quality audio. It is not high end because the definition of high end is typically something else. It's typically more connected to the pricing, and this one is very affordable. So if you never had contact with this hobby, with purchasing a high quality pair of EMs, then the FH11 is going to be a blast. It is going to be so much fun. It is going to give you so much introspection in why I make reviews about audio stuff, why we invest so much in how music can be so enjoyable. Now, the problem is that you will likely need to upgrade the source because, as I said, it doesn't sound that it's best with an entry-level source. I was just testing a few, and the best source that I could find for it is the FiiO BTR15. Everything is 15 with FiiO this time around. So the BTR15 is quite good. This one has Bluetooth receiving abilities. It is portable. It is mini-sized. It works as a USB DAC for your computer. So with those two together, you could get yourself a very decent setup for less than $200 and it will sound amazing. They also pair very well together. The FiiO BTR15 does not have a very high output impedance, and it can drive the FiiO FH11 just fine. I do think that this would be a dream setup, and I do hope that if you do decide to go for it, it is going to be a lot of fun. If you do decide to purchase the FiiO FH11, I recommend using Amazon if you can, because Amazon is much better with the quality of the items they deliver and with the return conditions and warranty than most shops. So just recently I had this experience where I purchased a pair of speakers, a MacLeod 507 from a local shop in Romania. And guess what? They sent me one open, refurbished and damaged speaker. I didn't even open it because I noticed that the package was not alright. I sent it back and then they blamed me because the speaker was already used. Of course, I made a complaint with the Romanian Authority of Consumer Protection, and I'm currently still waiting for a resolution on that note. So the problem here is that with most stores, you don't even get what you're paying for. That is a big problem because you could simply purchase from a local store and get used items and get something else entirely than what you ordered. And then you have to battle with consumer protection, with a lot of entities to get your money back. I still have not received my money back for that one. And the purchase was made about 2 weeks ago. So, it's quite frustrating. There is a lot of hassle for you. I think that Amazon would allow you to get rid of all that hassle. It should allow you to have a very good experience. And most important, it should allow you to have a lot of fun and to enjoy music at its finest. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you are enjoying Audiophile Heaven. Don't forget, if you like this video, if you subscribe and if you share this video with your friends, you're helping me out a lot. Thank you so much, and we'll see each other really soon. Bye!